Beneath the densest rainforest on Earth, invisible to satellites and hidden from human eyes for 5 centuries, they found it. Not a village, not a settlement. Cities, dozens of them, connected by highways, housing potentially millions of people, with agriculture sophisticated enough to sustain populations larger than medieval London. They were there all along, under every step explorers took, beneath every conquistador's boot, hidden under 65 million years of evolutionary camouflage. The Amazon wasn't pristine wilderness. It was a garden, deliberately engineered, carefully managed, home to one of the largest civilizations in human history. And we called it untouched.
For 500 years, we told ourselves a story about human civilization. It began in Mesopotamia, the Fertile Crescent, maybe Egypt, perhaps the Indus Valley. Civilization needed rivers, agriculture, permanent settlements. It required the right geography, the right climate, the right conditions. And it certainly couldn't happen in a rainforest. Jungles were barriers to civilization, not cradles for it. Too dense, too wet, too hostile. Indigenous peoples who lived there were primitive, hunter-gatherers, moving through untouched wilderness, leaving no mark on the landscape. This story was comfortable. It was simple. It placed European colonizers at the pinnacle of a natural progression from savage to civilized. It was also completely wrong. In 2022, LiDAR technology, laser scanning that penetrates forest canopy, revealed what 5 centuries of exploration missed. In Ecuador's Amazon, beneath impenetrable jungle, archaeologists found geometric earthworks, raised platforms, roads and plaza systems spanning over 1,000 square kilometers. The Upano Valley Civilization, occupied from 500 BCE to 600 CE, at its peak, housing between 10,000 and 100,000 people in a network of interconnected urban centers. But that's just one discovery, just one civilization, just one corner of a rainforest covering 5.5 million square kilometers. How many more are waiting beneath the trees? And if civilizations this large could thrive in the Amazon, the place we thought civilization couldn't exist, where else have we been looking in the wrong places? What if the cradles of civilization aren't where we thought? What if they're everywhere?
Let's start with what changed everything. The technology that sees through time. LiDAR, light detection and ranging. Aircraft or drones emit billions of laser pulses per second. Most bounce off tree canopy, but a small percentage penetrates gaps in foliage, hitting the ground below, mapping terrain with centimeter precision. Strip away the digital trees, and you see what's really there, what's always been there. In 2018, LiDAR revealed 60,000 previously unknown Maya structures in Guatemala, an entire civilization hidden under jungle, temples, palaces, fortifications, agricultural terraces, supporting populations far larger than previously estimated. In Brazil's Acre State, researchers found hundreds of geometric earthworks, perfect circles, squares, and hexagons arranged across the landscape, the geoglyphs of Acre. Built around 2,000 years ago, requiring forest clearing and massive earth moving by supposedly primitive peoples. Then came the Upano Valley discovery. Dr. Stephen Rostein, after 25 years of fieldwork, deployed LiDAR in Ecuador's Amazon. The scans revealed 6,000 earthen platforms, the foundations of homes and ceremonial buildings, plazas larger than football fields, roads up to 20 kilometers long connecting urban centers. This wasn't a village. This was urban planning. This was a civilization that understood geometry, engineering, agriculture, and social organization on a scale that rivals ancient Mesopotamia. And it existed in the place we said civilization couldn't exist. But here's what makes this truly revolutionary. They didn't just survive in the Amazon. They thrived because of it. They engineered the forest itself. Terra preta, black earth in Portuguese. Soil so rich it's still fertile 2,000 years after abandonment. This isn't natural Amazonian soil, which is notoriously poor. This is anthropogenic, human-made, created by ancient peoples mixing charcoal, bone, manure, and organic waste into the ground. They weren't adapting to the environment, they were transforming it, deliberately cultivating the forest to produce food at industrial scales. And this practice wasn't isolated. Terra preta sites are found across the Amazon basin, covering up to 10% of the entire rainforest. That's 550,000 square kilometers of engineered soil, an area larger than Spain. The Amazon rainforest, Earth's lungs, the symbol of pristine nature, is partially a human construction. A garden cultivated for millennia by civilizations we never knew existed.
This discovery doesn't just add a civilization to the history books. It shatters the fundamental narrative of how civilization develops. The old model said civilization requires specific conditions: river valleys with predictable flooding for agriculture, temperate climates, defensible geography. It emerges in a few lucky locations: Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, the Indus Valley, and spreads outward through conquest and cultural diffusion. This model assumes environmental determinism. The land shapes the people. Only certain places can birth civilization. But if advanced urban societies thrived in the Amazon, in the environmental conditions we thought prevented civilization, then geography isn't destiny. Humans aren't passive recipients of environmental fortune. We're terraformers. We've always been terraformers. Consider what this means for the scale of pre-Columbian America. Conservative estimates suggested 10 to 20 million people in the Americas before 1492. New evidence based on these urban discoveries suggests 60 to 100 million, possibly more. The Amazon alone might have housed 8 to 10 million people, not scattered hunter-gatherers, urban populations, cities connected by trade networks stretching thousands of kilometers. When Spanish conquistadors entered the Amazon in the 1540s, they described large settlements, well-maintained roads, and abundant populations. Historians dismissed these accounts as exaggeration or fantasy.
Surely the green hell couldn't support such numbers. But the conquistadors weren't lying. They were accurate observers of a world that would vanish within decades. Disease arrived before most Europeans. Smallpox, influenza, typhus, pandemics that killed 90% of indigenous Americans before colonizers even mapped the interior. When later explorers arrived, they found empty forests and assumed they'd always been empty. The jungle reclaimed the cities within a century. Nature performed the perfect cover-up. And Western archaeology built its theories on a crime scene that had already been cleaned. Now we're uncovering the evidence, and we're realizing human civilization is far older, far more widespread, and far more innovative than the cradle narrative allowed. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, 11,600 years old, predates agriculture but shows sophisticated social organization. Poverty Point in Louisiana, 3,700 years old, reveals complex earthwork engineering in North America millennia before traditionally accepted. Nan Madol in Micronesia, artificial islands built from massive basalt logs on a remote Pacific archipelago. Civilization isn't an accident of geography. It's a human constant. Give us any environment, and we'll engineer our way to complexity. The Amazon isn't the exception. It's the rule we never saw coming.
Understanding the scale of Amazonian civilization forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about knowledge and collapse. These weren't primitive peoples stumbling into basic farming. They developed botanical knowledge that would take modern science centuries to replicate. The Amazon contains over 16,000 tree species. Amazonian peoples knew which ones produced food, medicine, materials, and poison. They selectively cultivated useful species while managing forest composition. They created forest gardens, ecosystems that looked wild but were carefully curated. Modern ethnobotanists studying with indigenous communities have cataloged thousands of medicinal plants, many with compounds science is only now beginning to understand. Anti-malarial drugs, cancer treatments, antibiotics, all derived from plants indigenous peoples have used for millennia. This knowledge didn't come from random trial and error. That would take millions of years and countless deaths. It came from systematic experimentation, oral knowledge transmission, and scientific methods we still don't fully understand. Some researchers propose teacher plants, substances like ayahuasca that indigenous shamans claim provide direct knowledge of plant properties through altered states. Whether metaphor or method, the results are undeniable. These cultures possessed pharmacological knowledge that rivals modern medicine. They also mastered hydrology. The Amazon floods seasonally. Most civilizations would see this as a disaster. Amazonian engineers saw opportunity. They built raised field systems, elevated agricultural platforms connected by canals. During floods, fish entered the canals. After floods, nutrient-rich sediment fertilized the fields. The system turned environmental challenge into agricultural advantage. These weren't innovations of desperation. They were sophisticated solutions requiring advanced understanding of ecology, hydrology, and engineering. So here's the question that should keep archaeologists awake. If this knowledge existed in the Amazon, what happened to it? The fall of Amazonian civilizations wasn't gradual decline, it was catastrophic collapse triggered by disease. When 90% of your population dies within a generation, knowledge dies with them. Specialists disappear, oral traditions break, agricultural systems fail. Within a century, sophisticated civilizations that had persisted for over 1,000 years vanished almost completely. The survivors regressed to simpler technologies because complex systems require population density to maintain. This is the fragility of civilization that no one talks about. Advanced societies don't just fade, they can collapse completely, leaving almost no trace, especially in environments that rapidly reclaim human structures. How many times has this happened? How many advanced civilizations have risen and fallen in Earth's history, their achievements swallowed by jungle, desert, or sea?
The Amazon revelations are part of a larger pattern emerging from archaeology, one that suggests human civilization is far more resilient, widespread, and ancient than we believed. Australia's Bhuj Bim cultural landscape, aquaculture systems built by Aboriginal peoples 6,600 years ago, permanent stone structures for eel farming, predating Egyptian pyramids. Poverty Point in Louisiana, massive earthwork architecture in North America 3,700 years ago, contemporary with Stonehenge, revealing sophisticated engineering in prehistoric America. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, temples built 11,600 years ago by supposedly nomadic hunter-gatherers, challenging the assumption that agriculture precedes monumental architecture. Underwater sites off India, Japan, and the Mediterranean, submerged cities suggesting coastal civilizations drowned by rising seas at the end of the last ice age. Every new technology, LiDAR, ground-penetrating radar, satellite archaeology, underwater sonar, reveals more lost civilizations, more urban centers, more evidence that humans have been building complex societies far longer and in far more places than conventional archaeology admitted. We're not discovering new civilizations. We're discovering that civilization is the default state of humanity given sufficient time and population. The old model of civilization, rare, fragile, dependent on perfect conditions, is crumbling. The new model suggests civilization is inevitable, adaptable, and far more common than we thought. Perhaps the real question isn't where did civilization begin, but where didn't it begin? Because everywhere we look, once we develop the tools to actually see, we find evidence that humans were building, engineering, and creating complex societies far longer and in far more places than conventional archaeology admitted. The Amazon just happened to hide its secrets better than most places. The jungle is the perfect amnesia machine, erasing evidence, concealing monuments, returning everything to apparent wilderness within decades. But the evidence is still there, under every tree, beneath every leaf, waiting for the lasers that can finally see through time.
So what does it mean that we found cities in the Amazon? What does it change? Everything. It means human ingenuity isn't bound by environment. It means civilization isn't a rare accident requiring perfect conditions. It means the history we learned of civilization flowing from a few blessed river valleys is incomplete at best, propaganda at worst. It means indigenous peoples across the Americas, dismissed as primitive, were inheritors of sophisticated traditions that engineered forests, managed watersheds, and sustained millions. It means collapse is always possible, that complex societies can vanish so completely that future generations forget they ever existed. And it means we've barely scratched the surface. LiDAR has surveyed less than 1% of the Amazon. Every scan reveals more cities, more roads, more evidence of human complexity. What will we find when we scan the Congo, the deep Amazon interior, the Sahara before it became desert, the continental shelves drowned by rising seas? How many civilizations are still hidden? How many voices silenced by time? How many technological achievements lost to forest and flood? The Amazon kept its secrets for 5 centuries, but the truth is patient. It waits under the trees, under the sand, under the waves. And now, finally, we have the eyes to see it. Human history is far stranger, far longer, and far more distributed than the textbooks admit. Every technology that lets us see deeper into the past reveals more complexity, more sophistication, more questions. This channel exists to explore those questions, to challenge comfortable narratives and follow the evidence into uncomfortable territories, because the cosmos isn't just above us, it's beneath us, buried in the earth that holds all our forgotten stories. Subscribe to Myths of the Cosmos, because every time we think we know where civilization began, the ground opens up and shows us we were looking in the wrong place all along. Until next time, remember that pristine wilderness might just be civilization waiting to be rediscovered.